Welcome to the Centric Behavioral Health podcast, where we talk all things mental health and substance abuse. If you or a loved one is struggling with mental health or substance abuse issues, please call our caring team now at 866-271-8480. Again, that number is 866-271-8480. To start your healing journey today, this podcast shares recovery journeys and mental health discussions. If you find this content uncomfortable, please feel free to click away and take a breather. Our goal is to share our experiences and let you know that you are not alone. We'll just go ahead and start off. So, welcome to the second episode of the Centric podcast, where we talk a lot of things about mental health and substance abuse and everything in between. So today's topic in particular is all about support systems.
Okay.
So, actually, let's introduce ourselves first. So my name is Danny. I'm the social media manager here, and I'm here with
Janet Johnson, primary therapist at Prevail Recovery Center.
Beautiful. And a little bit about yourself. Like, what do you do at Prevail?
Oh, I have many hats. I meet with clients. I do their treatment plans. I try to get them to engage in recovery, like sponsorship, meetings. I do groups. I educate on, the disease concept of addiction. We do CBT. We do solution-based recovery. Um, you know, uh, I don't know what else. I mean, I meet the clients where they're at. I try to help them understand that recovery is possible, sobriety is possible, no matter what comes your way. No matter what, you can stay clean and sober, and that's just what I do.
Exactly. That's awesome. I mean, it's a lot to take in.
It is. Sometimes it is, and sometimes you think the clients get it, and they're doing everything the right way, and the next thing you know they go to sober living, and the next thing you know they're out using again. So something, I don't know what's missing with them, or they think that they can use one more time, or they're not like everybody else. And what I try to tell them is, listen, don't compare yourself to anybody else. Identify with the feeling. So if you're in a group and you're talking about feelings of like growing up, and how you didn't feel a part of or anything like that, identify with that feeling instead of saying, well, I never did that, because I know this to be true, that if you don't start identifying, you're going to end up having a lot of yets. Like if you've never been to jail, you will. That's a yet. If you've never eaten out of a dumpster yet, you will eat out of a dumpster. If you've never been homeless before, you will be homeless. And I've seen it and I watch it all the time, and it breaks my heart. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot to talk about. But I think like to kind of bring it into like a more positive note, with today's topic is about supporting those who are going through recovery. Like what does it mean to you to like have a support system?
It means everything. I swear, when I first got sober, I really wasn't that willing to take suggestions, and I didn't really like women that much in the beginning. And it's not that I didn't like them, it was just the fact that, I'd say, oh, they're catty, they gossip, look at her, she's prettier than me. So my insecurities would come out. But what I learned over the years is that the women saved my life. When life showed up for me, and I wasn't able to go to meetings at one point. The women came to my house, and they cooked me dinner, and they brought a meeting to me, and I started to build a tribe of women that were just always there for me. And what I noticed, what I learned was that it's not the women that you expect.
Mm.
It's the women that you would like, say for instance, you have a birthday party and everybody's invited and your best friend doesn't come. What I learned was the fact that the women that were there were the ones that were supposed to be there.
Mm.
And if I focus on the one that wasn't there, then I'm missing.
Mm.
And there's been many, many times that um, the women have saved my life. So I really embrace womanhood, and I tell all my girls, I sponsor a lot of girls, and I tell my girls all the time, what, you are a woman of substance and grace, and you are worth it. A long time ago, I had a sponsor, and she would say to me, "You need to look in the mirror every day and tell yourself that you're worth it." And I'm like, "Ugh." Because when we get sober, we don't have any self-esteem.
Mm.
So I started doing that, and before you know it, I started to believe it a little bit.
Mm.
And then other days I didn't, but as the journey goes on, you do believe it more and more. And I'm grateful that I'm at this point in my life. I'm grateful that I can look in the mirror and go, "Damn, you look pretty good for an old lady," you know. But it takes time.
You
So
always come in here with like the best glasses
I
style,
know, right?
honestly. She
I
always
know.
coming in with the best. So, I mean, and she's fantastic. Actually, I can even plug in your tick if you wanted to talk about that, like that you do your own social media. You always talk like your tips of the day.
Oh, TikTok? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I always tell everybody, "Hey, lovies, fun fact of the day." And it's just a random fun fact of the day. In the beginning, when I started doing it, I would say, "Today's the best day you've ever had. You'll never get a new one." And I mean, I don't have a lot of followers, and that's okay, but I just get the message out there. And, if you're struggling, there's a solution. But it's just fun. It's just a silly, fun thing to do.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think it's really it's uplifting. It's something, taking someone out of like that tunnel vision
Right.
sometimes is like what really was needed. But I think it's amazing that you found your tribe. I think
Oh,
it's very hard for a lot of people out there who are kind of doing this either that they feel like they're by themselves or they don't have like very supportive family and friends.
well, I mean, I keep talking about what I've learned over the years, and I love to help people. I love to
Mm.
help people. That's it's not a love language, but it's something I like to do. However, when it comes to me, I don't like to ask for help
Mm.
because I'm a burden. I'm not worth it. I'm not all this stuff. So again, if I like to help somebody so much and it gives me great joy and I don't want anything in return, I just want to be able to have you be successful, whatever it is you're doing. And I don't ask for help. I'm robbing someone else of their joy. I'm
Mm.
not if you like to help me and I don't ask for help, oh, what am I doing?
Mm.
And so you got to learn to ask for help. And let me tell you what, there's been 5 years ago, I wasn't able to drive. I couldn't get up out of bed, and then my tribe came.
Mm.
And they took me to the doctors, and they again, the tribe changes over the years,
Mm.
but it's always the women that I never expected. Well, "No, I'll take you to the doctor," and I had this woman bring me food, and I'm like, "Oh, what's she bringing me?" I never see her, but she felt compelled, and if you don't, and I had to ask for help.
Mm.
I just wasn't able to physically, mentally, or spiritually do anything. So when I started asking for help, I'm like, well, that's not so bad,
Mm.
because I'm giving someone else joy.
What were like, some of the most difficult, like where you almost kind of felt like you were in conflict with your tribe?
um, I don't. Recently, the most conflict I have is that when my tribe starts to drift away.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
um, I still go to a lot of meetings. I go Monday night to a house meeting. Tuesday night I'm off. Wednesday night I go to my home group. Thursday I meet with my sponsor because I'm doing step work again. And then Friday I go to a meeting and Saturday I go to a meeting. So what I notice is, the girls I sponsor, like all of a sudden, well, I'm too busy. Everything gets more important, and anything that you put in front of your cover, you're going to lose. When I watch these girls drift and and they relapse, and
Mm.
that's my conflict, because there is a solution, and it's not a hard solution. It's just an easy solution. And just recently, I have one of my girls at 15 years sober, and now she's out,
She's
and
doing
it's
it.
bad. It's
Mm.
really bad. And you know you're as sick as your secrets, and she was keeping a lot of secrets.
Mm.
So and but everything comes to the light, and everything, the truth came out, and you know she's going to get the help she needs. But still, when you ask someone, are you what are you doing, and they go, well, that's my conflict. And because I don't want to be that person. I don't want to
Mm.
give up my sobriety. And I watch all these other girls, so that teaches God's always teaching me, Janet, that could be you. So get your ass to a meeting.
Mm.
So
So that, like you're explaining how like a girl could be basically 15 years and then all of a sudden she kind of like does that. Like someone who's supporting them, are there ways that you can kind of like maybe bring them to it, or is it just kind of like
you
they're on
just
their own?
there listen, I say all the time, have you done any step work? Did you go to a meeting? Did you do this? And they're like, no, no. I'm like, okay, well, maybe you want to work on it.
Mm.
Maybe you want to do something. And relapse happens way before you pick anything up. It's
Mm.
keeping the secrets,
Mm-hmm.
and not telling you, listen, there is no judgment with me. I mean, I might get angry with you. I might, but there is no judgment.
Mm.
And you know it's just like you can suggest, because that's all we do, you know and it's up to them to do it,
Yeah.
because but if nothing else, I'm learning. If I'm not willing to do the work, I have no right to tell anybody else what to do. So like a good example of that is I'm doing step work again. I
Mm.
don't want to do step work, but I need to do step work, because I have no right to tell you what to do if I'm not doing it. And then it's like, you get some years under your belt, and then you say to yourself, well, I don't need to do a step work again, or I don't need a. And that's I'll just be blunt, that's bullshit,
Mm-hmm.
because it's an ongoing. It's not about the drugs and alcohol, it's about the behavior and your thought process. Relapses uh relapse is not just about drugs and alcohol, it's about your behavior. So when you're watching people, you see the behavior, and it's like, this is a bad idea. But
Mm-hmm.
you got to love them for where they're at, that's all. So it's like I always say, I said, that's not a really good decision, but I support you whatever you decide.
It's like I don't really agree
No, but
100%,
I support whatever you
but
do. And I would
here I
say that to
am.
one of my girls, and to this day I say it to her all the time. I'm like, that's not a very good idea, but I support you.
Has there, how can, let's say, like, so me personally, I have some family members who have addiction. There is addiction in my family. And sometimes it's a little bit of a struggle to kind of like deal with, all the things that they're going through while they're going, through their not so great times.
Right.
How can someone like myself tell them, like, hey, I see there's something going on here and I really want to support you. I really want to be there for you.
Go to Al-Anon.
Yeah.
Learn how to get your own program of recovery.
Mm.
um, I had someone just the other day, and well, yesterday, as a matter of fact, I had to call a parent, and she's like, she just needs to stop. And I'm like, no, you need to go to Al-Anon,
Mm.
because I know I got a problem with drugs and alcohol and my thinking, right? Family members, you've known this person since they were that big, or however big they were. You
Mm.
know them, and you are going to judge them,
Mm.
and you're going to say, just stop. Or, you're going to barter with them, or you're going to get angry with them, or you're going to cry with them, and you're going to coerce them, and you're going to try to do all these things. And when I tell you, it's not, once you pick up, there's no more choices.
Mm.
It's just not a choice. And people that aren't working their program like Al-Anon or Nar-Anon or whatever it is, you do all those things until you learn that that you are not in control, God's in control, and you need to let them go. If I had to, like, my family, I love them to pieces. I love them to pieces. However, some of them don't get it.
Mm,
And they, and so, like, when I go to visit, they'll turn around and go, remember when you did that? Remember when you did that? And you were this and you were that. And I'm like, I don't need to hear that. And when you get into recovery, you're sitting around people and we don't care what you did.
mm,
It's like, well, how'd you get through that? And oh, well, I'll love you for where you're at. When you have family, it's tough. It's real tough. But if you get a program of recovery and you do step work with the Al-Anon or ACOA or CODA, or whatever it is, you get the foundation to learn how to change your behavior. And you have that addict or alcoholic be responsible for their behavior. Like
mm,
I was always told, if your husband comes home drunk and he throws up all over it, just leave him there. I'm like, what? Why am I going to leave him there? Because he needs to take responsibility for his actions and what he did. And that goes into codependency,
mm,
so you learn to how to work the 12 steps of Al-Anon.
mm.
So you better
That's really
go.
good. Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
maybe I should. Because it's, yeah, like I think family can be like our biggest bullies.
Oh,
I feel like sometimes, even with mental health, it's just like, you want to I want to be supportive, but then sometimes it's like something that I say could affect you because I know you really well and we judge each other. We get at each other's necks all the time. So
right,
it's like getting away from that sometimes and
right.
being with people who are non-judgmental. Maybe you're going through the same thing that you're going through, and that's kind of how you get
Exactly.
your network.
Right. But it's funny that you brought up mental health. Like, what comes first, mental health or the addiction? I don't know, one half dozen the other. However, when you have mental health, that's even a harder thing to accept and help that person go through, because the stigma of mental health is like, well, you're crazy. In
Mm-hmm.
reality, you're not crazy. And I have someone in my life that struggles with mental health, and my other person, and I don't want to name names.
You don't gotta. We could
The
say
other
Joe,
person,
Bob, whatever.
the other person is it doesn't get it, and in the family unit, um, one side of the family would say, well, you don't need to go to see somebody. You just need to go to church and get better, and why are you doing that? And that's not right. And when in reality, they can't help it,
Mm-hmm.
until they get medically stable, and then it's hard because with mental health you start to feel really good, so
Mm-hmm.
then you go, well, see, I feel good, I don't need my medication. So then
Mm-hmm.
you go off the medication, and within a 3-month time span you're back out, and your mental health is off the chain and your addiction's off the chain. So learning to be medication compliant, and believe me, I am a huge advocate on medication. um, I take it and I'm never going off it, because you don't want to see me. Um, but it just helps stabilize everything. When feelings come up, you're going to feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Believe me, you are going to feel it, but it's not going to be that intense high and that low. So, there's a whole bunch of mental health things that, go on, but simple, to keep it real simple, just, be medication compliant, and you'll be amazed what's going to happen.
Yeah, actually, that was last week's episode. Is we were talking about the stigma around mental health.
Oh, it's even stigma around addiction.
Exactly.
What's the matter with you? And I believe that it's our job to educate the people
Mm-hmm.
about addiction
And
and mental health.
here we are.
Here we are. So there you go. Get educated. You know.
Yeah, I mean and it's like what speaking about, I mean, I guess still trying to stay on the topic of, I mean,
Yeah, we can
we
go
can
in.
steer
Where do you
off
want to go?
anywhere we want to go. But I mean, one of these questions that I have here is like, what is like a helpful tip to those listening? What would be like a really good thing for those who are supporting those like going through recovery? Like you yourself, you're a support system for someone else. What do you do in support?
What
How
do
can
I?
you help?
How can I help that other person?
Yeah.
Go to a meeting for 1 hour in your life. You're going to feel a little bit better. If someone, it all depends on what are they struggling with.
Mm,
Can I, if say for instance, someone's in a marriage and they're struggling in the marriage, I
mm,
can identify with that. I can relate to that because I have gone through that.
mm,
So I'm going to say, well, this is what worked for me. I'm going to share my experience, strength, and hope, and how it worked for me. Are you going to take the suggestion? You might listen, but when push comes to shove, when here and here come together, that's when the change happens. But
mm,
you can give all the suggestions or all the knowledge that you need, but until here and here come together, nothing's going to change for anybody.
mm,
And it's like, um, if say for instance you're going through a struggle with, I don't know, something, and I don't know about that, I'm going to go, listen, I I can't help you with that, but I know Susie over there has been through what you went through. So please
mm,
call her. So it's the network, it's the ripple effect, it's like
mm,
it's like one person just helping another. And so you call that person and she gives you advice about something, and it's like, oh God, thank you so much. I had a incident once that I I told a secret to someone,
mm.
and 5 years later, this woman came up to me and she goes, Janet, I heard blah, 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 blah. And I went, oh,
Secrets
and
out.
I was like, oh my God, who else knows? However,
Mm,
what I really took out of it was this poor girl was struggling and she went through the same thing that I went through, and God brought her to me to be able to give her some kind of hope for, knowing that, life goes on and you're going to be fine. So
yeah.
that was, you just carry the message
So I'm sorry. So we were talking about that it's never just once, it's forever.
forever.
And you were saying, oh wow, I just blanked for a
Go to a
second.
meeting.
Go to a meeting.
Yeah, and share your experience, strength, and hope. And if you don't know
Mm,
how to, don't fake something that if you don't know it, don't fake it. Don't pretend that you know something when you really don't.
mm,
That's one of my biggest. You know, oh, I went through that when you really did.
yeah.
A lot of people do that.
But but it's always good to be vulnerable, at least in those
Yeah,
meetings, just to be like, I'm not gonna lie with myself. I'm gonna say what I really did.
right. Yeah,
Um,
but a lot of times they don't want to do that. You don't want to. It's fear of judgment.
that's true.
When you're in a meeting, and I mean, especially a mixed meeting, that you don't share some stuff, but when you're at a woman's meeting and you start sharing, that's when you get vulnerable. That's
Mm,
when you get open and honest, and that's there's power in women, and it's
mm,
it's like, wow, I can't believe she shared that,
mhm,
and it's like there's so many women that have given their kids up and or have their kids taken away, and it says in the big book, no matter what happens, whether your mother dies or you get a divorce or your children leave you, you can always stay sober,
mm,
but you got to stop being the victim.
mhm.
So
But where, I guess we could do a little closer, just kind of like,
okay.
where could people find you? If it's not just Prevail, if you wanted to plug in again your TikTok.
You can find me on TikTok, you can find me on Facebook, you can find me on Instagram, uh, Snapchat. I do it all. I sit at home at night and just play away because I got nothing else to do besides go to a meeting and talk to my sponsor and do step work.
Oh, well, here's a question. Like, because you go through this and you kind of like absorb a lot of people's like trauma, like because you're a
Hmm.
therapist. And how do you self-regulate? How do you like do self-care?
Oh, well, I have learned that once I leave, it's going to stay there. I don't, I try not to bring it home unless I'm laying in bed at night and something when I'm trying to go to sleep. I'm like, I think I have to help so and so, and I hope so and so does this. The racing thoughts start to go a little bit, but self care is for me it's going to a meeting, and just being able to sit for 1 hour and go, I can breathe now, and I go on vacation. I take care of myself. I go get my nails done, and then the mindless entertainment is TikTok
The
and stuff like that.
scrolling and
Yeah,
the
scrolling left, right. I don't go on the dating apps anymore because I'm just saying. So if anybody's out there and you think I'm hot and you think I'm worth it, you should call me.
she again, fantastic glasses style, I have to
Okay.
tell you. Amazing. But um I have to say thank you so much for your insights.
Thank you for
This
having me. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
no,
fun.
it was really good. I think that's pretty much. I think the last thing I'm just gonna say is, for anyone out here listening today, do you have any advice to those who are seeking treatment?
Don't be afraid. Step into the fear. There is a solution. You don't have to feel this way ever again. Um, Life is too short, and you want to live a life beyond your wildest dreams. It's there for the taking. And anything you want to be is an attainable goal. But you got to step into the fear and understand that, if you stop being the victim and empower yourself, things will turn out perfect the way they are.
Amazing. As always, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'm just gonna hit stop.
Stop.
Here we go.
Okay.